Welcome back to our 23rd episode. This week, we've got a lot of boat work to complete to be ready to splash. And we'll take a day off for a little sightseeing. Please join us. Marie will work on the winches, seacocks, canvas, and anti-fouling, while I work on the blackwater tank through hull and a few smaller jobs on the mast and a new anchor chain. So if you remember, at the end of last season, we were looking for a pump out to empty our blackwater tank, and most marinas were closed for the season. This is why. Our blackwater tank has an 1.5 inch drain that is connected to this 90-degree elbow and then through a ball valve to a through hull, all of which are only 1.25 inches. 90-degree elbows are very poor at flow and also very poor if you're trying to use a drain snake to clean them out. The snake can't make it around that bend. And then, necking down the drain from 1.5 inches on the tank to 1.25 inches at this elbow, it's actually a 30% reduction in the cross section, so a 30% reduction in flow at least. Another restriction. So, we purchased a new brass elbow, this one at 45 degrees, and 1.5 inches in diameter, along with a new 1.5 inch stainless steel ball valve and through hull. Our pipe fitter friend, Stu, recommended not using all stainless, as the threaded connections gall, and then they become nearly impossible to undo if you ever need to do so. The brass and the stainless threads won't have this problem. In these tight quarters, bound up threads would be impossible to undo. Trying to get room to swing large wrenches inside this tiny cupboard is very difficult. So brass and stainless it is. The old bits weren't agreeable to unthreading in that space, so they required some convincing. Multi-tool convincing. First, cutting off the ball valve, and then the retaining nut on the through hull to release it also. Our 5 amp Dremel branded multi-tool made short work of this soft metal. Here you see the shiny new parts, including the new hose. By the way, draining the tank and letting it sit empty all winter to dry out made this a much cleaner job. I highly recommend a 7-month drying out period when you have to work on the blackwater system. We sure are lucky to not have to do this in a wet, half-full septic system. It's almost worth pulling the boat and leaving it for a few months. It turned out to be an easy job once the demolition was complete. We had to disassemble the ball valve to have room to be able to rotate it in this space, but the new parts are easy to disassemble and reassemble. We bedded the new through hull with 3M 4200, and then the threads were wrapped with Teflon tape, and we added a little life caulk just for redundancy, and it all went together smoothly. A couple hours later, we had this all fixed. It was a productive day. And we're going to replace the last couple of light bulbs that are not yet LEDs. This deck light and a stimming light. Keep his guard off so we can get at him.
Mast is all redone and polished and ready to go, and she's got a new coat of bottom paint. Next, sewing and the canvas work, and then polishing the sides. Getting there quickly.
The next day, it was on to some canvas work. We've had some wear and tear, literally, with the back of the boom wearing and tearing the winter cover. So Marie is sewing this piece of gray leather to the cover so that it doesn't happen again. You can also see the interference between the boom and the front of the bimini here. So she shortened up the bimini by several inches to prevent that contact and wear. And then while she was sewing, I repitched the prop. Before we crossed the North Atlantic, we replaced our very old and very tired and worn out Max prop with a Darglow prop. We'd like a little more speed while motoring, so we're changing the pitch. This job only takes about 20 minutes.
Make cassette says R7, it's L9. So that's the different ratio.
Let's take a day off from boat work. We'll take a road trip today to a couple locations. First, a Viking Farm and Cemetery, and its on-site museum. Way back in 979 AD, 1,000 years ago, Harold Bluetooth commissioned construction of 5 fortresses, one here in Jutland, northern Denmark, laying the foundations of the historic Kingdom of Denmark. Yes, you heard me say that correctly, Harold Bluetooth. That old Viking king was the namesake for your current wireless connections between your headphones and your phone. Really, Harold Bluetooth.
This is a Viking burial ground near Aalborg, Denmark. The hill is south facing. According to those signs that we read coming in, this would have been the site, or close to here, site of a farm, a Viking village, where 5 to 7 families collected together and farmed in a community. There you can see the Inland Fjord Canal out in the distance.
The canal was an important route throughout history, including as a staging point for Vikings to conduct some raids on England. Unfortunately, the constant shifting sands made farming a challenge due to the drifting, and this site was abandoned around 1100 AD. Typical graves here are stones surrounding a cremation site, often with personal items and their dog buried with them. The warrior's grave included a sword dated to around 600 AD. 600 to 1100 AD, and then abandoned to the elements until it was rediscovered in the 1800s. This site and the attached museum, housing the artifacts found, are well worth a visit. So after that break, it's back to work. Marie starts in on the winches. Count 'em. 6. But we're not done yet. 9. And again, 13. Take it away, Marie.
So one of our fun annual jobs is to take apart the winches on the boat, and the Northern Breeze has 13 of them. Clean them and reassemble them, make sure they're okay. As you can see, this winch here, the snap ring has came off of the shaft so that if I can get this, the shaft moves inappropriately. So our winches are variants, and they are bedded down to the cabin top. So now I have to unbed this winch in order to fix that issue. And that's what I'll be doing. We pulled the liner down in the cabin, and we will unbed the winch, and then by removing these 5 screws, and then I will fix the snap ring and put it back together. So that's the culprit right there. The snap ring is not on. Not even sure right at this moment where it goes. I'll have to figure that out. But it has been unbedded. We'll clean this up and put it back together. So I have the area cleaned up. Doesn't look like it, but it really is. And I have cleaned up the winch, reinstalled the snap ring, cleaned up the gear. It's ready to be reinstalled. I've cleaned up and oiled the dogs and the gears and the needle bearings. And I will grease those. I use Harkin white winch grease. I also use pawl oil for the spring pawls. You can use any brand. This just happened to be what was available the last time I needed some. And I've even used machine oil, like sewing machine oil, in a pinch for oiling the pawls. I'll go ahead and make donuts out of butyl. We use butyl instead of like Sikaflex or Lifecock. It's just less messy, we think. And go ahead and rebed this winch. It's ready to go. So grease is one of those things that I think that there can be too much. I try not to push it down into the teeth of the gears. I try to keep it on the surface. If it works its way all the way down into the bottom of the gear tooth, it just sits there and gathers dirt and salt, and that wears on the teeth. That's my opinion. I've spent a lot of years in the transmission industry, and you do want them lubed, and you want them well lubed, but I also run the winch to evenly distribute the grease that I put on before I close it all up, just to make sure that I've gotten enough grease on there. It's just my opinion. You can have too much, you can have too little. There is a sweet spot. So the Northern Breeze has 13 winches and 5 different varieties, all with the same concept. Some are self-tailored, some are not. And every year we take them apart and service them, make sure all of the components are clean and greased and running well. And for some reason that's become my job. Some are 2 speeds, some are 3 speeds. Those great big ones there are, sorry about that, are really difficult to do. I leave those for last. So this is one of our non-self-tailing winches, and it's not used very often in comparison to the self-tailers. And as you can see, holy cow, and this is in a matter of just 3 months. It's amazing. What a mess. So this one's going to be a mess to clean up. This is why we do them every year. So this one's been all cleaned up. The one right next door to it, not corroded a bit. That's all just grease. And this is used much more because it's self-tailing. Just no rhyme or reason. So here are the bits to this self-tailing winch. Inside, you can see that there are, I've already cleaned and greased them. There are 3 gears, but no pawls. And in order to service these gears, I would have to unbed the winch, which we try not to do unless there is a driving reason to do that, because it gives you the opportunity for leaks. Got the barrel, 2 needle bearings, cages, and then this is the gear set. And there is the dogs or the pawls. And yeah, so I'm gonna finish cleaning this up and reassemble it, and it will be hopefully back running like new. And then of course the pin.
As always, she's done a great job. During our day off, we also visited Spotrup Castle. It was a bishop's castle. This castle isn't a fortress, but it does have some defenses, including a double moat. Wow, redundancy like a sailor. Double up, even on your moat. The bishop was effectively the local government, endorsed by both the church and the king. This plaque shows a date of 1702, but that is nearly 200 years after the first section of the castle was built, in 1521. 1702 was the year that the ownership passed on to the Rosencrantz family, and this was the bishop's hall. He held a lot of parties and festivities, as his books show that he had trumpeters and fiddlers on his payroll. Quite a bishop. Party on, bishop. We also visited the chapel. Wow, it's not a fortress, but these walls are thick. They haven't created a fully decorated museum here, but they do have a few old pieces to complement the architecture. The castle was originally constructed in 1521 to 1530, but then the north wing was destroyed by a tidal wave in 1534, so it had to be further reinforced and rebuilt. And the Watchman's Gallery? Sort of a shooting gallery in case of attack. Welcome to the Middle Ages. Get your weapons!
The steps are very worn from people going up and down them. This is the guard room. Ooh, watch your head. Look at the wear in the stones. Ooh. Yeah, you don't want to be sitting in those chairs, I don't think. What room is this? 4 centuries, 4 owners. It's like painted.
The castle is now into its 5th century, and hopefully can see many more.
This must have been a bedroom. This is a doomy room.
Terrifying place to go to sleep.
Yes. I think these might all be bedrooms of sorts.
Let's get back to the boat.
There she goes. She's going outside for the first time this year. Woohoo, woohoo. Just get enough water to get her in the water. It's done her good to be inside for a year. The winter, 7 months. She's dried out. She doesn't smell. Voila.
Here we go, almost ready to splash. A couple more small jobs, and then we'll be watching the tide and the wind effects and hoping to break free of the shallow harbor. Back into the sunshine.
And she's a happy girl to be outside.
So today, we got our new anchor chain, and we mark it for depth. Some people have little plastic clips they put in there. Many people have different methods. What we do is we paint it every 10 meters. And then how do you remember which color is which? Well, first 10 is red, next 10 is yellow, green, blue, and it repeats it. Like the color wheel or the rainbow that you learn in grade school. Red, yellow, green, blue. That'd be 40 meters. Red, yellow, green, blue, 80 meters. Red, yellow, green, blue, 120 meters, but we only have 100. So at 100 meters, at 90 meters actually, we put them all. So when you get to 90 meters and you start seeing all those colors, you know there's only 10 meters left of chain in the boat. We have to repaint them every year, but that's okay. It's nice to have a new chain, get rid of that rusty one that was starting to flake and get pitted quite a bit.
We've got a short drive back to the harbor. It's about 1 kilometer.
The boat for a walk.
One left turn. One major intersection with a roundabout. Full credit to LP-Yachts for this cradle design. It stores the boat all winter, and then a tractor simply drives a trailer underneath it and drives it down the road. An excellent system. Excellent design. Way to go, guys. And we're there. By the way, do you know anyone who wants a new old spinnaker and sock? Our furling Jenniker is so much easier to handle for the two of us, so we're looking for a new home for this sale. It's about 2,000 square feet, but contact us if you want any more specifics. So once again, thank you. Thank you for watching. We really appreciate it. This week has been all on the hard, with several projects completed, but now we're at the harbor, and next week we'll splash, step the mast, hoist the sails, and start exploring again. We hope to see you soon. Bye for now, Aaron and Marie.